Greetings, everyone. This is Rebecca here with you to share some crafting fun for relaxation and enjoyment. Today's project will be paper quilling. We only need one simple paper quilling tool, some glue, preferably thinned out with a tiny bit of water, and some paper strips about 1/4 of an inch wide of any kind that you enjoy. Today I've styled a mermaid core set of earrings and necklace. My earrings and necklace are made using resin and mica powder with coral connected by wire to a stick that I foiled that I found in my yard. And the earrings feature some faux lamp work recycled paper earrings that I made. And we showed how to do this in a separate additional video tutorial. So today's project will be paper quilling, and we're going to learn how to make some simple shapes. We're going to learn how to possibly use some household items to make some frames into which we can place the motifs that we make with the shapes that we're going to learn how to make. And if any of that sounded confusing, then please join me at the studio, at the table in a moment, and bring your art materials and tools with you, and we're going to have fun, and it'll be wonderful. Thank you so much again for joining me, past, present, and future, and please like and share and subscribe if you can. I'm going to do my best to continue with these videos as often as I can, and I really hope that we establish a community and rapport of people that maybe were afraid to try art but really wanted to and have a lot of artistic ideas floating around inside of them that they want to let out. We're going to try all kinds of different projects and all kinds of different art forms. So get ready, buckle up, strap in, and we're going to have a great time. Thank you. Well, here we are back to the studio art table of RK Design and R. Klein Design, jewelry design by Rebecca Klein, and we're going to continue with our exploration and foray into the vintage art of paper quilling. So come along and check out these pretty items that we're going to take a little bit of a tour of here and just see what we have. First, we'll talk about a couple of basic quilling tools. We have our quilling wand or coiling tool, and this is the main one that we will use. It has a slit in it that the little thin strips of paper, which are the essence of paper quilling, all the pieces that you see here are made of paper, and I do seal my work. I use a variety of different sealants depending on the desired end result, and with the jewelry items, I generally tend to seal them with the final coat at least would be resin. And resin soaks into paper and gives it a very hard and glass-like feeling and appearance. And it can also have a feeling of natural stone. So I do enjoy working with it, and I recommend that when you use resin, you follow all the safety precautions and always have a lot of great ventilation and all of that. So this is a tool called an awl, and we're going to be using a lot of technical terms. So another name for this tool would be a very technical term. It's called a pokey thing. So this is a very sharp pokey thing. So we're going to be a little careful when we use it, as we are with all our pokey things. And even this tool, this coiling tool, can be a little bit sharp. So be careful. Of course, we have a pair of scissors in case we need to cut anything. And mine are pretty iridescent rainbow. So that makes me happy. So that's what I like to use. All right, so using my awl as a bit of a guide, um, here's some paper strips that are commercially produced item. These are about 1/4 of an inch thick, and as you can see, I've used part of the colors. There would be normally some reds and some greens. We have some blues here and some yellows and oranges still left over. And when I purchased these, they came in a pack of about probably 7 or 8 different sizes, and the paper strips ranged from about 3 millimeters wide up to a couple thicker than this. So there's about 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe up to 10 millimeters wide. And I also like to cut my own paper sometimes. This paper is both the frame and the circular pieces in here that are brown are made out of a piece of grocery store bag paper and or the packing paper that you get in like Thrive Market or Butcher Box bags. And these other ones are made with more of the commercial produced paper. Here's some paper strips that I created. I cut them on a manual paper cutter that has a slider that goes up and down. It can cut a couple sheets at a time, and these are the brand called Astro Brights, very easily available. Come in beautiful colors and a nice heavy weight of paper. The other option that I would consider would be about a $30 investment in a paper shredder that doesn't cross-cut or make little confetti squares, but which would actually create long, thin strips of about 1/4 of an inch. And I've seen those available, so please look into that. But aside from these few tools, which are, you know, the pokey thing and the awl is a little bit useful sometimes for grabbing or moving things around when you want to sort of make your design. And if you think of look at each of these designs. So we have a peacock colored flower with some ombre teardrop shapes, and as you can see, this is made in a frame. There's a simple concentric circle and then some other rounded circles and a few more teardrop shapes. And the rounded circles and the teardrop shapes are generally what we're going to be working with right now. And I'm going to be showing you how to make these coils, how to make the teardrop shapes, and then how to use those coils, circles, and teardrop shapes to create a floral design similar to these. And as you can see, we've made one here too with our craft paper from the recycled grocery bag. Here's some more realistic flowers, some tulips, some roses in the design of the famous and popular blue and white china. And these were some attempts at this beautiful cabbage rose and long-stemmed rose design. And here we have, obviously, homage to this lovely state, California, the golden poppy. Here's again the sort of fanciful freeform 5-petaled flower. Excuse me. This set has been designed with a color palette in mind, and as you can see, we have added some beautiful resin pendants and some Czechoslovakian glass beads and made a pretty set of jewelry. And as you can see, these designs, floral designs, any kind of nature, animals, you can make portraiture, and also, of course, abstract art, and geometric shapes. So it's pretty versatile. And as we go along, I'll show you some other projects, but today's project is essentially going to be floral design for now. Now, if you don't like floral design, you can use the simple circular shape that I'm going to show you to do a variety of things, such as protection eye, Valentine's heart. You can use the same heart shape in green to make like shamrock for St. Patty's Day, and all kinds of different things. So here I've taken some clear white glue. Sorry, this is actually clear polyvinyl acrylate glue, which is similar to the name brand Elmer's glue, but this is clear, not white. You can use white, it dries pretty clear, but I found in my jewelry designs that I really wanted the glue to really recede and not be visible at all in the design. And with the clear glue, it is pretty well invisible. This cool bottle I decant or pour some of the glue into, and then I thin it out with water. As you can see, it's pretty runny. You want to have the glue able to drip out pretty quickly, although not pour. And the reason I have this vitamin container and this dropper bottle here are to show you some household items that can be used in order to make frames, such as the paper frame that's also made from the quilling strips of paper that surround some of these designs. Actually, all of them. If you wanted to, you could purchase a set of tools such as this. These can be used for other projects too, such as wire working. You can wrap pretty much anything that you can wrap around this, and as you can see, it's stepped so that each layer provides you with a different size of whatever shape it is, and in this case we have a triangle. So when I want to use commercially produced projects or have a very consistent size and shape, I'll use that. But today I'm thinking I might show you how I would wrap a frame around one of these shapes in order to make a place to put my art flower that I'm going to show you how to make. And so let's get started. What I've done for the frame is I have stuck together, glued with this glue that I'm showing you right now, about 5 to 7 strips of a plain black, and I'm going to add one more strip to the end of this just so that I can show you the complete project of gluing these items together. And so forgive me if I have to like maybe hold this closer to my eyesight at some point in order to make it visible. It looks like my glue dried up a little bit while I've been sitting here gibby-gabbing with you guys. So we'll give it a second to come out. There we go. All right. You take your glue, and you don't want too much, and you simply make the two ends of the paper stick together. We hold it for a few seconds. This is where our patience comes in. And I do tend to apologize a lot for myself, so if you see me or hear me doing that, then just bear with me. We're working on it. Sometimes I think that my work table seems a little chaotic. Sometimes I think that it shows up the dirt a little bit, even though I wipe it down every single day. And I also feel like some people might be triggered a little bit by the fact that my paper strips aren't always perfectly straight, or, you know, they might have a wrinkle or two in them. So, you know, life gets wrinkly a little bit, life gets curly, and we're okay with that. So it all comes out when you do the design. And we're going to try to be a little bit lenient with ourselves when we're working on art projects, because to a very large degree, this is supposed to be relaxing and fun. Let's have fun with it, okay? So if you find something in your home that is a little bit bigger at the edges then I would probably recommend not using that for this particular project, because you do want to be able to wrap this pretty tight. And so I'm going to probably not use this piece for this particular thing. So I'll use this bottle. I'm just going to make sure the lid's on pretty well. And what I like to do is I like to, like I said, have my pieces of paper already glued together. And since this is paper, if you have too much, you can always cut off a little bit. And if you have too little, you can always do what we just did and glue some more on. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually wrap this around and match up the working end, which is going to be the long piece that we're going to wrap, to the beginning, and put a little drop of glue there and hold that in place for a couple of seconds just to get this whole thing started. And we're going to be gluing this entire strip all the way around. We're going to be using glue on all of this paper, and every time we wrap one coil around, we're going to wipe and sort of stroke it down. We're going to make sure that it's what we call laminated, so all of the layers are going to be well stuck together. I like to put glue on a few inches at a time, and you can do a little bit at a time, and as you get a little better at it, you can do a little more. As you can see, I lost my little original juncture here, so I'm going to glue that back down and make sure it's nice and tight and smooth all the way around. And then what I like to do is actually hold the paper strip and move it around, line it up nicely with your previous row, and like I said, smooth it down, burnish it, as they say. And then you can put a little bit more glue, and it can be a little awkward at first, so bear with me and bear with yourself. We'll put a little bit more glue, a few more inches at a time, smooth out the glue, and start wrapping again. And go around and around. If you ever see some dog hair or cat hair, that would be another thing that I personally would be constantly apologizing for. So they exist, and you can always pull it out. So I'm gonna continue wrapping my paper around, and then when I'm just about done, I'm going to fast forward to that magical moment right here. Okay, so we're about to just put the last tail end of glue and glue down our last little bit of paper strip here, and we're gonna just make sure that we have plenty of glue at the very tippy end and hold it down to get that nice straight flat frame. And you can press on it and go around and around, and be a little careful of the outside edge to make sure that you don't have any glue on your fingers, and just sort of make sure that it's all pressed together. And I'll take it off for just a second to show you, although the black doesn't show up. It kind of shows up pretty good. So you can see we got a very nice rounded shape. I want to put it back on and let it dry for a while on the frame, on this my lovely found object dropper bottle for my vanilla stevia that I like to put in a lot of things, like my smoothies. All right, so now I don't know if you can see when I spin this around, there is a place on this tool at which there's a slit, and the slit is where our my fingernails on it right now. So that's where our paper's going to go. And we're going to put our paper into the end, and you can leave a little bit sticking out if you want. That'll add a little bit of interest in the center of your coil that you're about to make. And if you want to, you can also not leave very much. Make sure it's in your tool pretty well, and I start rolling towards myself. My strip is towards myself, and you can also go in the other direction. I'll try to show you that at some point, but I like to do what I like to do. So if you want to learn like what I'm doing, I'm holding the paper strip in my left hand, I'm rolling with my thumb, and most of my fingers are rolling the paper towards me, and we're coiling the paper pretty tightly. I'm pulling a little bit against the paper with my right hand that's holding the tool, and I'm pulling the paper away from the tool a little bit with my left hand. And as we are just going to make a coil of the shape and size that this paper wants to make, this is the 8.5 by 11 paper, cut in 11 length and about 1/4 of an inch, or about maybe 5 to 7 millimeters wide. So take it off the tool, let it pop open, let it spring up, and sometimes it does a little cone-shaped thing, but we're going to use it in a flat manner, like these designs. So what we want to do is take the end, just like with our other strip of paper, put a dab of glue on there. I usually rub it in a little bit and then hold it for a few seconds just to get the glue to stick very well. This part, if you don't have the patience to hold it long enough, you can just hold it for a few seconds and put it down for a while. And that will probably give you the tension that you need. If you tried working with this right now, it would probably unglue and pop open. So we're going to leave it for a few minutes, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 5 of these blue ones. I'm going to make about 1 or 2 green ones, and I'm going to make an orange one that might actually have a green core. So those will be made exactly like we just did, and then what we're going to do is put them all together into a cute little lively floral shape. Okay, so I want to make the flower center, and I'm using 2 colors for the flower center. I'm going to have the blue shade be the very, very center of the inner circle, and I'm going to have the orange be the outer edge. So that's going to dry for a couple of seconds, and I wanted to show you creating the teardrop shape, or the flower petal and leaf shape for these flower motifs that we're going to do. So we take one of our circles, and you can just pinch it, and it's going to make a crease, and you can kind of work with the design, and your cat can knock over your camera. So that is part of artwork, and we do get these little disasters every now and then. So we want to make sure that each one of our shapes is in a teardrop, and then you can manipulate them into the size or shape that you want. I've used 2 different colors of blue here for the flower petals, and nature frequently does things like that too. So we want to either make things in wild, crazy color combinations that are to our heart's delight, and or we can also do things with a more naturalistic approach and realistic. So that's where color variation can come in. You can also take, if you're going to be making your own paper strips with your own paper, you can do that to a wonderful degree by collecting some of your envelopes. I know I've gotten some pink envelopes, some silver envelopes, and really nice, really pretty colors. So with the leaf, I like to take the leaf and put a little crease at both ends. And what that does is where we're going to have it be coming between a couple of flower petals, the leaf will nestle nicely into that shape. So now, since we have blue flower petals, we'll tuck the blue paper to the inside of our flower center. And for the flower center, I'm going to show you, it'll be a little tiny bit slightly different. When we let go of this or take it off of the tool, we want it to stay the same shape that it is now, the same size basically. I don't want it to grow very much, if at all. And so I'm going to take the time to glue the piece down before I take it off of the tool. Now we can remove it from the tool, maybe. And we'll just hold it for a few seconds. And you can see how pretty that looks. It's going to be really nice in between the pretty blue flower petals, and it's going to look really nice with the green, because orange and green are a really nice combination. Okay, so here you see what can happen sometimes. One of our little art disasters. And if your coil opens up or your glue stops sticking for a minute because you did not have the patience to hold it long enough, then all you do is pull it a little bit, snug again, or you could always straighten out the paper one more time and completely recoil it if you need to. That can always be done. For another example of recycled paper jewelry, I have these two rings here, and the heart-shaped ring shank is made with grocery bag handles. Actually, the gold ring is also. The gold ring is part of a new line that I'm working on, which has to do with mermaids and sunken treasure and things that you might find in an ancient ruin from thousands of years ago. Things that maybe would wash up on shore and have been made out of metals that are timeless, and maybe some tarnish and patina. And this is all made out of paper and a few other things like resin. So anyway, I think we've waited long enough for our flower center to be dry and not pop open like it did last time. And you could take some time, if you'd like, to arrange your flower petals. You can see where the little changes in shape that I've done create a little bit of movement. And as a matter of fact, I do feel like these flowers sort of have a lot of movement, and I've thought several times that they remind me of dancing figures. I love that about them. So a lot of times something cool like that will happen with your art that you're not even expecting, and you can move these petals around until you find a pleasing shape. We got a very beautiful, pleasing shape here. And so sometimes I like to make a stem too, and I might do that. So what I would do here, if I did want to make a stem, is I would just sort of put some glue on my paper strip, pick a length, and that will be my fold And then I'm going to keep putting a little more glue and then keep folding it down. And then once I get my paper strip all folded and glued, I'll have here a short little stem that I can put in between two of the flower petals, and they will make a nice basis for my leaf. And I'll show you this in a moment. Alright, so we have our last few inches of our paper stem here, and if you ever thought you were getting it was turning out too thick or anything like that, like we said, of course this is paper and you can always cut it shorter. Okay, so for my final couple of touches, my last few little details here, I took my stem piece and I shortened it, and I took the end and flared it out, and I'm going to connect it. I've already got glue on there, and I'm just going to press it up into that space. And this is one of the things that your pokey thing tool is good for, or your awl, which is spelled A-W-L. So, but remember, we're going to use a lot of technical terms like pokey thing. So we have our stem in place. And I'm going to actually change that around a little bit. I decided I didn't like the way that looked. It was separating the petals too far apart, and I want them to stay together. So remember from our previous talk that one of the things about art is you get to decide exactly how it goes. And the reason why I have this stem kind of short right now is because of the leaf that we still want to put in here, and because we're going to have this design be in a frame that we had made earlier. Do you remember that? So we can kind of squish our leaf into a little bit of a leaf shape, and I'm going to also press these two blue petals a little bit closer together. And you can kind of squeeze everything a little bit right now, and when we're done letting the glue dry a little bit, we can pop it back open quite a bit. So the main thing we want is for our glue to really adhere. So you want to kind of see how I've squished it, and we're gonna hopefully pop that back out. Just sort of press against the flower center, and that should open it right back up. Alright, I want to dab a tiny bit more glue in between these two, and then I'm going to hold that for a moment, and then we're going to come back and just put this into the frame, and then our artwork will be done. Final step, we're going to take our frame that we made earlier, and it can be a little bit tricksy, so you can carefully sort of push the flower petals against and towards each other and get your flower inside of the frame. Kind of wedge it in there a little bit. And if you have any flower petals that are feeling a little cramped or squished, then we can take our tool and kind of press it a little bit into the direction that we want it to go. And even with our fingernail, we can give it a little bit of a boost. Look how pretty that looks. You can have it in either direction. And now what you want to do is take your fine glue tip and put some glue, a blob of glue, into each little section where your inner design touches the frame. And then what you can do is you can take your awl and sort of use it almost like a paintbrush to get some of the glue more spread out a little bit. And then we'll take a few moments and let it dry. And we can admire our pretty flower. And I think when I have this a little more dry, I'll come back for one more check-in with it. We'll give a couple of the petals a little bit of a squish and have them sort of more, a little tiny bit more, like this one at the top is a little more spread out than I wanted it. So when the glue's dry, it'll be a little bit easier. I'll just squeeze it together a little bit at the top, and I think it looks really pretty as it is, but I think it'll look really nice a little bit more uniform. Thank you. Okay, so here we go. We got a pretty nice flower without too much effort, and we were able to make the frame for this flower with a household item. Now what you can do if you wanted to is you can seal this. You can use Mod Podge, you can use triple thick glaze, you can use resin like I prefer, and I would probably just paint it on with a paintbrush in a well-ventilated area, cure it or let it dry according to package instructions, and then you can use a piece of wire or a jump ring to connect it to anything you like. We'll show you how to do a few more things that turn this into a final piece. But as you can see, you have the basics down for making these beautiful flower shapes, and I'll come back and show you in a few more lessons some other designs that you can make just simply making coils and spirals and teardrop shapes. So thanks again. Like, share, and subscribe. Have a wonderful day.